Hello and welcome back to the back nine coverage of the MPO lead card for the final round of the 2023 spring thing. It's PDGA C-tier tournament taking place on April 8th, 2023 in Rockford, Illinois. If you haven't watched the front nine, I'd suggest you do that first because we're already through 9 holes. We've got another 9 to watch. Kramlik currently holding the lead at 9 down, followed by Griffin and Kyle, one stroke back with 8 down. We've got 2 more players on the card, as you should know. Dimock and rounding out our card, Colton Ferguson. Once again, I'm still here with Dan Schlitter, who's also the tournament director of this. He puts on a bunch of events in the Chicagoland, northwestern Illinois area.
Stoked to be here. Go check out Birdbrain Disc Golf Club if you haven't already. One of the biggest and best clubs in the northwestern Chicago suburbs, and it's an absolute wonderful community. We put on tournaments, leagues, and we'd love to see you out there.
Getting it right into it. Hole 10, par 4, 360 feet through the woods. It's a tough. It'd be a really tough 3, so 4 makes sense. You shoot up to this landing zone, you take a peek to your left, and you're still at least 200, 220 away from the pin.
This is a unique shaped hole. While it is only about 360, 370 feet, the shape is difficult. It does play for a power right-handed player to try and keep something low and skip up towards the green area. I would 100% call this a tweener hole. A 3 is your most common score. 2s are few and far between, and 4s don't feel like a par. So really a hole you're just trying to get your 3 on, maybe get a long look at 2, and move on. Don't give any back on this one. Kyle hugging the left side around the bend. Doesn't necessarily make the fairway. He's going to be a little pinched and have some work to do to get up to the pin. Kramlik finished off our front 9 with a sweet birdie on 9. He led us off the tee, and it hit the right side trees. He's going to have some work to do. Griffin laces the fairway. That is exactly what you're looking to do. He'll have a long look at 2. I really can't imagine being a lefty on this hole and not having a forehand. So good on Colton to do what he does, hit that forehand line, and gets a good away up the fairway. He'll have a little bit left to get up and down for his 3. Louis, tight left side. Throws a forehand roller, really crafty. Looks really good. Stayed clean. Probably finished a little short left side. He might have a long putt at his 3. Here's some more of that debris I mentioned on the front 9. Just a couple areas where if you get off the fairway, you can be in just stick jail, log jail, branch jail.
And here's Kramlik imprisoned, I guess you could say.
He's got branches going every way possible. Sideways, up and down, diagonal.
Apparently he sees a line through here. I don't see it.
'Tis the season. I mean, the spring thing, usually the leaves haven't come on the trees yet, so the skinny gaps, the wintry gaps are all still there. Unfortunately, he does catch a branch and hits down, and he'll have some work to do to get him down for his 4.
Man, there's so many courses in our area that are favorable in the winter and the early spring because of exactly what you're saying. I mean, there's places around the world where you don't have the trees dying out and gaps opened up that aren't there year round.
Welcome to the seasons of disc golf. While it gets colder, we lose a lot of the technicality of the trees. So the gaps do look bigger, give you maybe a little bit of a false sense of confidence. Kramlik chips up there. He'll be putting for his 4. Louis looking to do the same. There are a lot of trees on this fairway late, so even these shorter approaches are not gimmies. You still have to throw a good shot with touch and shape to get it to sit near the pin. It's challenging in that aspect, whereas if you throw an amazing drive like Griffin, all the technicality of the approach is gone.
Drop in. Ooh.
Wow, great bid from Griffin. Gives it the high right side stall. Tries to get it to drop just a bit early.
Almost dove right in the tray.
He was going for the Kramlik style of putt. So was Kyle, apparently. What a putt.
Sad.
Such a floaty, just dropped into the tray. That was incredible.
Big putt from Kyle for the birdie. Starting his back 9 nicely.
That'll tie him up for the lead with Ryan, given that he makes his putt for 4.
Louis not happy about it, but he'll take it. Well, he's not happy the way it looked, I think, just based on his reaction.
Hey, he's happy it went in, I'm
That's
sure.
true.
That was for a 4 save.
Can't be upset when it lands in the basket.
Colton gets his 3, no problem. Ryan just tapped in for his 4. Just not a 4 you're happy about getting. Especially when Griffin's 3 was as easy as that, and his 2 look was not too far away. So we're back to a 3-way tie at the top with 3s from Kyle and Griffin. We've got 3 at 9 under. Hole 11. Another fairly straight tunnel shot, a little wider looking. A lot of the technicality doesn't come until the end of the hole with a few late trees and many stumps, as you can see, that make this still a fairly guarded pin. It's downhill 271 feet. A mid-range or a putter to keep it straight and slightly fading off at the end for a right-handed backhand thrower is the play. Ideally, just hit the gap, let the disc do the work, and let gravity take over. Kyle shows you a very good way of throwing the hole. This was tracking right towards the pin, hits one of the guardian stumps, gets a little roll around to the right side. He'll have about a 20-foot putt for birdie at most. Griffin hugging to the left side a little bit, catches some tree action, and that'll kick him further left. His scramble shouldn't be too difficult, but his birdie is pretty much out of the question. This is another green that has a bit of a drop off. It sits on a shelf, so you do have to be a little careful depending on what direction you're putting from, because you may be going either downhill or into some thorns on the left side. I think that was a really good tree that Ryan hit. That was right down the middle, but I think that had a bit too much pace. So to get slapped down by that branch, I think was net positive for sure. Louis kicks off to the right, unfortunately, right next to the hole 12's tee pad. Looks like he has the walkway to play to get back up near the pin. So all things considered, not the worst place to land. Oh, he takes an alternate route, punches through. That looks pretty good, maybe about 15 feet at the most. Good shot by Louis to scramble. Griff looking to do the same, scramble those eggs. Little long right, but there's another good tree. I think that saved him several feet for a way longer par putt than he was willing to have. So loving these trees. Ryan, maybe that branch wasn't the best because he's much shorter than I thought he was. Who cares? He bangs it. That's the putt he was looking for. If you watch the front nine, spoiler alert, Ryan was all over the basket. Nubs, band, little high, little low here and there. A couple of his makes didn't even require chains. that putt looked crisp, committed, and in the center of the heart of the chain. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come going forward. Nice putt by Colton. Here is Kyle for his birdie attempt, maybe about 25 feet or so. Great putt from Kyle. It looks like he's found his pace as well. First few putts of the round were a little shaky, little tentative, but it seems he's got a really nice, slow but controlled pace on his putt, sticking some nice birdies. Louis to save the par, no problem. And same for Griffin right here. So it looks like Kyle and Ryan will pull ahead to 10 under, not to overlook a really nice birdie by Colton as well, showing us how to get it with that lefty forehand. So 3 birdies on that hole is solid with some good putts.
Yep. And Colton with 2 in a row to tie up Louis again. Moving on to hole 12, 283 feet up into the woods. As you see, there's this arcing tree trunk that hangs over basically the middle of the hole. Take a peek back. There's a lot to get through. The players had something to say about this hole. It wasn't very good.
This is a really, really tricky hole in the sense that a natural line is hard to really find. A lot of players are just ripping something down the middle and hoping it stays clean, and not the greatest idea when it comes to a par 3 of just poking and praying. Some stumps, some trees that could get cleaned up just to make some more shapes to the hole. It's not the worst, but it could definitely use some TLC. That being said, it's birdieable and it certainly is bogeyable. So in terms of score separation, it provides it. Just hard to imagine a better shot than Ryan just threw, just trying to thread that needle, and it would hit the arch tree.
Just a little high.
Griffin's going for this backdoor route, playing a forehand hyzer. There is a small line that way that does have a few less trees than if you were to go up the middle, but still a very technical shot and makes the whole play a touch longer. So for that forehand hyzer, you're looking to travel over 300 feet. So I think all of our players are pretty much just going to be scrambling for a par on this hole. Still some shapes to be made.
Wow.
That's the shape that Colton was looking for. Phenomenal approach by him. Looks like an easy par coming up. Louis to keep pace. Wow, good run. Gives it the gusto, just a little long.
Really running those. That's not his first one this round where he's gunning the basket from 150.
Something to be said about doing that from a patent pending stance as well. Takes a lot of good core strength and commitment, as well as trust in your abilities. Ryan almost tosses it in with a phenomenal touch forehand. Griffin with a long putt up. Kyle with an Anheuser putter approach, just pitching it up. No real good line to try to make a putt and force anything to potentially have a longer comebacker than he's looking for.
Louis ended up a little longer than he hoped, I think, but he was trying to hit it, I think.
Not surprising when you give it that much of a run. He puts a lot of really clean spin on the disc, so when he does throw those shots, they tend to continue on.
And up until this moment, actually, Louis was playing a completely clean tournament. This is going to be his first bogey of the entire day. So through like 30-some holes, 30 holes exactly, that's pretty decent.
Not too bad. So no real separation. Louis does fall one back behind of Colton for that 4th place on the card position. And that brings us to hole 13. This hole's a monster par 5. Really, really demanding shot on all accounts, no matter where your lie is. The tee shot is about a 250-foot tunnel shot that does bend downhill and to the left. You want to get out of the tunnel off the tee to have a strong right-handed hyzer or left-handed power shot or S shot to get to a good landing zone on your second. Finally, once you get there, you're hoping to approach through a very wooded green to get to the pin. Just all in all, a very, very hard hole. Requires 3 very good shots to get a birdie here.
Really does, as you'll see. The most important thing off this tee is getting out there, and Colton gets pretty lucky because he did clip that first available.
That
He's up
is
and out
the
there.
tree to miss. Colton is the luckiest man in the world because that tree usually sends him straight right into jail woods. So very fortunate to continue on. Looks like Ryan and Kyle lace the gap, get out no problem. Griffin ensuring he pulls it right to miss the tree that Colton kissed and just pulls it too far right and doesn't get all the way out. We'll see what he's left with for his second, but birdie is pretty much out of the question from that point. But not from where Louis throws. That's a laced drive. Gets good distance, good forward push. He'll have a fine approach for a second.
Yeah, anybody will take that. And you'll see how far this road really is from where they are. With this throw, I thought for a second it was going towards the road, but when it hits the ground, it's deceptively far from where we were standing there.
It's out there and it's uphill, but don't let that overshadow that was a bomb from
That was a
Griffin.
mush.
He was in the woods still. He didn't even make it out of the gap, and this guy's pushing the woods. Just when I say he's out of birdie position, he darn near put himself back into it. Phenomenal
Spectacular
work
spot.
from Griffin.
Great spot to be after 2, regardless of how poor your tee shot might
You
have been.
do need to hug this road. There is a Mando off to the left side that you can kind of see coming into your screen there. It really just prevents you from playing up hole 14's tee and fairway area and maintains the natural shape of this hole, which requires you to come along this right side and funnel into the woods from there. So where Louis and where Colton funneled off to will be quite pinched, as will Kyle, as you really want to have a wide approach into this green.
Yeah, the Mando seems in place more in regards to a safety feature than the actual hole, but it obviously does encourage you to play along the road, which is how this hole is designed and meant to be played. There's no real gap there through the left.
Yeah, you said it 100%. It's mostly just a safety feature to prevent anyone, especially in tournaments when a course is full, from getting hurt.
Griffin with his third throw, he's going to be up there. He's going to have a look at the birdie from there.
It'll be a very long one. He caught a late tree, and he still was quite a ways back. Griffin showing you that if you do get up towards the road, you can take all the technicality of the trees near the green out of play and kind of just swing in a wide skipping hyzer. Unfortunately, he just keeps it a little tight. Kyle and Colton trying to cut the corner here, and a lot of trees to beat, so they end up hitting, and they'll have plenty of work left, as will Louis. Add him to the club. 0 for 3 is right, buddy.
We're
You
just
guys
going to go
are,
the hard way.
Try the fairway next time, guys.
Keep it to the right on this hole. If you're ever at hole 13, Anapage South, stay towards the road.
Ryan's dicing this hole up pretty nicely.
Just playing it how you should, how you need to score.
His drive pushed very far out there. His second got to a really favorable spot, which, as you saw, unless I missed a shot, that was his third, and that looks to be a pretty easy birdie.
That was his third shot. He's going to have a nice look at the bird from up there. Louis got through nicely to give himself a real look at the par. Here's Colton's fourth. Fortunately, hits
shoot.
one maybe 15 feet in front of him or less.
Looked like a skinny tree that he probably didn't even account for, and those are the worst. I mean, you're in jail. You have to throw such a technical shot just to try and get your par, and all of a sudden a little skinny tree you didn't even know existed gets in the way of your shot. Looks like his 5th was adequate. He'll have a short putt for his bogey cleanup.
I might have been overzealous when I said he had a birdie look. That would be a spectacular putt if you put that in. He was maybe 100 feet, 90 feet still.
Either way, just to make sure that he salvages that easy par from a not ideal drive is well done, and nobody is upset about a par on this hole.
Very well played by Griffin.
So I think that was Kyle's.
That was
putt
to save par there.
That was his putt for par. So he's looking at a bogey, which is not ideal when you're tied for the lead. Kramlik with the spit through?
Through the chains. I mean, it might have been a little weak side. It was hard to tell with the angle.
It was hard to tell from that angle, but it looked fairly close. So another, it looks like that's going to be a par for Kramlik after the only birdie look on the card. Griffin does not clean up for the par. That'll be a bogey. Kyle cleans up for his bogey. Louis will be tapping in for his bogey. So I believe we will have 2 pars and 3 bogeys.
Yep, that's exactly right. Griffin and Kramlik, the only pars on the hole there. Everybody else gonna card a bogey. Not the best timing for Kyle to card a bogey, but moving on, hole 14.
This is a really demanding par 3, 389 feet. There's 2 options off the tee. You can go through this middle gap that the camera is looking through right now, but you need to commit to the shot and throw something laser straight. Otherwise, there's a left side gap that's more often used for layup shots, forehands, or turnovers, just to kind of land at the mouth of the valley going back up to the pin. This hole does play downhill and then uphill, and it is just very difficult to access. Kramlik pulls this one right side, misses the tight gap entirely, but funnels through and won't be severely punished for that. He'll have an opportunity to get up and down for the par. Griffin showing you the layup play. Just pitch one out there, sidearm for a righty, get it to land in the middle. This way you can have kind of a free bid, throwing about a 90 to 120 foot shot up the hill with a little bit of a backstop. Kyle, I think, tried to get a little too crafty on that one. Tried turning it over and shaping it a little too hard, but the wind and the angle wasn't quite right, and it just stalls and finishes out left.
Skied it a bit, but he's going to be out in the open. It's going to be some work for the second shot for him.
Colton a little right side, but Louis pipes it. That's ideal. Hits the middle gap, hits the ground, slides up. It's a lot of hard pan up by the pin, as Kyle shows you with his skip shot. As long as you can get it to land up there, should give you a good slide up towards the basket.
Yep, great recovery from Kyle after a not so ideal tee shot. Almost kicks off and in.
It's a tight little hallway coming up to the pin, so if you do have to throw a scramble shot, you need to be aware of your gaps and exactly where your shot is going to be traveling at all times, because there's many, many trees to account for, and any misstep can result in, potential bogey or worse just because of a poor approach.
Yeah, there's definitely a tight little alley. As you can see, Louis is looking right up through it, but it's something you don't really notice from the tee, unless of course you've played this before. But Louis leaves it a little weak, drops short and left.
Looks like the rest of these will be putts for par to clean up. A very common score on this hole. It's a very hard par 3. A 2 is fairly rare. and it's not uncommon to see a 4. This is a hole where damage can occur, but as long as you can just get up and down for a 3, if the drive isn't ideal, you're not upset. And you're certainly not losing any strokes to the field in relativity to the average. Good putt by Griffin. Really good putts by the whole card to save these pars. Obviously, Louis would have liked to convert on that birdie, but just to have a birdie look in general is fairly impressive.
There was only one birdie on the day. Shout out Zach Finwall. And he actually put together a very good round.
Knowing Zach Finwall, he probably threw like a forehand roller or something like that. That's what he does. Nice birdie, Zach. So through 14, no movement from the prior hole. Kyle still 1 stroke back, as well as Griffin from Kramlik. So we will go to hole 15. This is a very, very unique shaped hole. It is a 342-foot par 4. The pin is just not accessible off the tee. It's a very low ceiling and does have a bit of a valley effect similar to the last hole as it bends off to the left. So your ideal drive really isn't going to get much further than about 200 to 250 feet. The gap is really tight off the tee as well as the low ceiling, so it really makes you throw an accurate straight shot that funnels off left at the end. Ryan pulls his shot right and kicks left, and that's going to make this hole hard. Scrambling is not easy on this one. Same mistake for Griffin, unfortunately. Just trying to maybe get a little further than necessary off the tee. This is maybe a drivable hole, but it's just so technical and there's so much danger that if you try and pull it a little too far, that's when the danger comes into play. Kyle just makes sure he hits the gap with something straight, low tempo, and lets the disc work, fades off a little, and hits a late tree, but a really nice drive. Colton stays clean the whole way. That was phenomenal. Lefty forehand all the way down there. That'll be a very easy approach, maybe even a long putt at 2. Louis staying clean as well. Really nice drive. Gets a good skip forward. He should be able to see the basket from where he's at. Yeah, it can get really messy off the fairway on this hole. As you can see, lots of branches and trees and lots of thorns too, so if you find yourself in a unideal spot, it could be painful as well. Griffin trying to take the route less traveled around the left side.
He says, "What fairway? We don't need a fairway."
If it stays clean, that's definitely the shortest way to get to the pin, but if you hit anything or drop down in that mess, as you can see, it is just absolutely thick, pointy, thorny hell. It's not where you want to be throwing a shot from.
Nice little roller out of Kramlik's hand. He makes his way up the fairway.
Late hit from Kyle on his approach up to the pin. He'll have a little bit more than you want for a 3 on this hole. This green is a little tucked into a miniature cove, surrounded by thorns, and does kind of go downhill to not where you want to be. More thorns and just not fun place to putt from. Louis with a really good bid for his long too. Just a little short. Hopefully it checked up and didn't roll too far. Here's where Griffin's jungle shot landed, not too far away from the pin. He'll have an easy 4. Kramlik's roller got to a pretty favorable spot. This is a great shot.
A safe par.
Yeah, that was to save his 4, so he'll be settling for a 5, which is pretty bad score on this hole, all things considered. This is another hole where 3 doesn't feel like a birdie, but a 4 certainly doesn't feel like a par. It feels pretty bad, so you want to get a 3 on this one and move on. Another tweener, if you will. Line looked good, but the pace was a little shy from Kyle. That was his putt for his 3. Louis didn't leak too far away for his putt for 3. Little left side, but it's in, no problem. Colton's in for his 3 as well. Doing what you really want to do on this hole. Hit the gap off the tee. Pitch up for your short 3. Move on. All things considered, not the best hole on the course by any means.
Yeah, there was a good amount of birdies. There's a lot to get through, so it makes sense that it's a 4 to me, and to the players, I think so too. There maybe just a little bit of work to that hole. So we're back at a 3-way tie at first, 9 down, 3 players. Colton and Louis also battling towards the end of this round.
So we got 3 holes to play. Here is hole 16, the shortest of the 3 remaining holes at 269 feet. It does play downhill through this tunnel with some scattered trees on both sides. A forehand for a right-handed player works fine, or a straight backhand. Really just whatever you can lace the gap with and somehow get down to this pin. These late trees do provide some difficulty if you're trying to give it an ace run or just trying to park the hole in general.
Just another one of those holes. We've seen it a lot on this course. It's let the Colton shot marinate there, but
that was pure.
Pretty straightforward, but there's a lot to get through. There's a lot that can go wrong, and just a technical, short downhill hole.
As is any wooded course, you'll be rewarded if you can throw a straight shot controlled here at Anna Page. But a lot of the hole shapes do call for that straight shot right down the fairway. So if you're comfortable, if you're feeling confident hitting those gaps with whatever disc you're throwing, you will score out at Anna Page, because that type of shot is rewarded heavily. Some tree kicks from Louis. He funneled off to the left side, and Griffin gets caught up in the middle there. Kyle drifting it over to the right, but looks like it stays clean. He might find himself with a birdie putt down there near the pin.
Kramlik for his first.
He's looking to bounce back after a rough hole 15.
First time at the bottom of the pad, probably all day actually. I think that's his first bogey of the day. 33 holes in. That's more than you can ask for on these courses.
I'm sure he would tell you a 4 on hole 15 is a bogey anyways, so.
He's not happy with the double then, in his mind.
No, but regardless, kudos for all the clean golf that got him this far.
100%, no surprise.
Really
He's
impressive out here.
They all are. Everybody on this card, I was very impressed, and it's very cool to follow some of the local players, because there's 1,000+ rated golf being played on the local level, local MPO level, every single weekend out here.
Kyle had a putt for birdie, but that's a second in a row, a little short left, tentative. I wonder if the nerves or the potential situation of having a big tie is looming. But tied no more as Ryan puts in the birdie from about 25 feet to take the outright lead back.
Great way to stay in it, bounce back from an unfortunate hole, card a birdie, right back at it.
Colton, even though he peered the line, he definitely traveled a bit long outside the circle for his birdie putt. Fortunately, cleans up his par.
I think he took a bounce off that, whoever's disc that is. Griffin, get your disc out of the way.
Looks like we'll have the lone birdie from Kramlik and a bunch of pars from the rest of the fellas here. No damage dealt on 16, which is really what you're looking for. It's tight, but it's not the hardest hole. There are scramble opportunities. It's downhill, so it's manageable. You just want to make sure that you're giving yourself that opportunity to be able to scramble. There still are a lot of trees to maneuver through.
Kramlik pulls back ahead. 2 more holes to go. 17, 18. Kyle and Griffin need to make something happen here.
This is a tricky one to make it happen. Hole 17. We're playing up the same hill we just threw down on 16, and it's 327 feet, and it bends pretty hard right. The pin that you see right there is 17. That's it. It's pretty hard to the right, and you don't get the opportunity to go right until you get about 300 feet up the fairway. So any shots moving too early to the right will get caught up, and we'll have a hard time getting up and down for a par. So shape is important on this hole. Yeah, Kramlik knows that right side is trouble, puts a little extra flex on the forehand, and doesn't quite come all the way back, but I would suggest that being the miss if you are going to miss on 17. If you can pull one over to the left, scramble opportunities are still present. Whereas Colton was heading for that early right side, gets a good kick off the tree to keep him in the middle. Par should still be the play from there. This is a really hard backhand hole, but Louis throws a phenomenal shape with a turnover, stands it up, drifts it right. That was beautiful. He'll have about a circle twos look for birdie. Griffin tight right side, just doesn't have enough straightforward push to get up to the green. He got up there a decent ways, so it shouldn't be too difficult. This hole does have a bit of a hard to see ceiling, but there are some branches up on that high route where if you do try and get it up there, they can come into play, as Kyle has found. So it looks like we'll have a couple long approaches for par. Kyle hated it immediately. I don't know if he was going for a long bid, knowing what the scores may be, but up near the pin for the 3 gentlemen who have thrown already. Griffin maybe back edge circle 2 with his forehand. You could really use this to get something really exciting going into hole 18. Elects just to get it up there close. And here's Louis for a birdie. That was painful for him just as much as it was for me. Just a little bit low. Really great drive to get that close with the backhand. That's pretty rare. Might be some fatigue setting in as we approach the end of the tournament. Hole 35, 2 pretty long and grueling courses early in the season. Not too hard to fathom putts coming up short here late in the round. Kyle cleans up his par. Unfortunately, that'll be a bogey for Colton. Griffin, while maintaining a clean back 9, unfortunately hasn't picked up any birdies since hole 10, which is a tweener in its own. So a bit stagnant, hoping to find a birdie on 18 to bring himself into contention.
Yeah, he was playing sneaky golf, I'll be honest. I followed the whole card, and I think it's just the steadiness of pars. I felt Bainter wasn't getting anything going, but it's not reflecting in the scores because he's tied for second and only 1 stroke back. We've got 1 more hole to play. Yeah,
this course is a lot about survival, as I mentioned on the front 9. Plenty of scoring opportunities, but also just a course you don't want to give up any bogeys. Hole 18, we've made it. 318-foot par 3. It's a fairly straight tunnel shot. You need to clear the road in order to get to the gap and to get to the pin. Any shots that don't cross the road will rethrow with the stroke penalty. It's between a mid-range and a fairway driver, but the main idea is to hit that gap across the road, let it slide up, give yourself a look. So Ryan's got a 1-stroke lead and the tee box going into the last hole, and he hits the gap very well. Little bit of a fade to it that'll probably leave him around circle's edge, but he's got a birdie putt for potentially the win, given no other suitors from the chase card came to contend with him. So really nice shot from Ryan there. Louis, unfortunately, not as nice. Pulls it right, hits some trees. He'll have some work to get up and down for the par. Griffin's one back of Ryan, so very imperative that he makes a move here, and he laces that drive as well. Looks very identical to Ryan's. He'll have a putt for birdie to get to 10 under par and see where that puts him. Kyle, same position as Griffin, 9 under, one back, but leaves that one a bit high and right. Catches a tree and kicks down in the middle of the fairway. He'll be well back. Tough lefty hole for Colton, but it looks like he absolutely fillets the gap. Catches a little bit of a late tree, but that looks like it's right by the pin, at least circle 1. So really nice drive from Colton.
Beautiful line for a lefty.
Yeah, it's a high-level shot. Louis scrambling, just getting up for his par. Kyle,
Maybe
circle
about-
3 maybe. I mean, this is like 80, 90, maybe even upwards of 100 feet.
I think it was close to 90.
If he knows the scores, he knows this is a must.
Oh my
Oh my God.
Unbelievable.
The fans in the background are going crazy.
The gallery
What a
came out.
putt. I have not seen a much more clutch putt than Kyle Opfer just put up right there. We're calling it 100 feet. Do or die. This man just put it in to give himself an opportunity.
He's leaving. He's out of here.
What else have you got to do? That is disgusting. Kyle Opfer, awesome putt. So Ryan, now knowing that he has someone else at 10 under, needs to make this for the win. And he just misses right side. So
Now
we've got
Griffin.
2 players at 10 under par, or at least what it's looking like. And this is Griffin to find himself at 10 under par. This is about circle's edge. Holy cow. Just a little low for Griffin. Didn't get the committed spin on that one. I'm sure he knew what that putt was for, and potentially a little bit of nerves. That'll leave him at a likely 9 under par. Louis, unfortunately, does not clean up for the par. That'll be a bogey. Colton ended his tournament on a great note with a birdie.
Great finish for Colton. Just gonna
Kramlik
tap out there.
tapping out for the par, finishing at 10 down.
Yeah, I know Griffin was really disappointed in his last putt there. He knew that's all he needed to push to play off 3 ways. I think he went back to the spot immediately after, just take a second look at it.
It's tough when you're the defending champion and all the opportunities were there. Nevertheless, good showing from Griffin, but the headline here is we have a tie, and that is indeed the tie for first place. The chase card has come in. We had some close scores, some really nice rounds by Tom Earhart, Nick Robinson, really good shooting, but the top spot is tied up between Kyle and Ryan at 10 under par.
3-4-2 until there's a break in score.
Tournament
Some
director
deck
going
rules,
to run us through
typical OBs in terms
how we
of
determine
the
who's
regular
shooting
rounds,
and
so
the
just
score
road
and
on
the
3,
rules of
road on
playoffs.
4, road on 2. That's it. It does not go by hot score anymore. It goes by coin flip, and then it goes alternating. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach into this mysterious bag right here. I'm going to use this putter. This is heads. This is tails. Kyle, you did shoot the hot round that round, so you will represent heads. Okay. Ryan, you will represent tails. And whoever it lands on will tee off first. Sound good? Any questions before I flip this magic disc? Kyle heads, Ryan tails. Good luck to you guys. That's a good flip. Tails.
Great
Ryan
flip.
will be on the box first, and you guys will alternate. So
It
if
was
you push the
awesome
04, Kyle, it will be
because the tournament was over. Every card's done here. And practically everyone who stuck around, which was most people, are now a part of the gallery. So this was very fun for everybody, I think.
I tried to get all the payouts done for all the other divisions to get them to come over and watch this playoff because I knew it would be an exciting thing to witness. So if you did not hear me as the tournament director, we are playing a loop of 3, 4, and 2 until there is a winner. So sudden death rules. If somebody takes a better score than the other competitor, they win the tournament. So hole 3, 502-foot par 4. Same hole that we played on the front 9. Ryan shows you a great drive, pulls it out to the right side, no problem. And Kyle does the same thing. He definitely learned from his mistake during the round. Makes sure to keep it out to the right side and give himself an open look to approach the basket for a 3. Kyle's second. Leaks a little bit left. Definitely not what he was looking for. He wanted to stick that one a little bit closer. He'll have about a 30-foot putt for his par.
Now the door's open for Kramlik. He can just kind of chip one up there, give him a drop in, put the pressure on Kyle.
He could really apply a lot of pressure, but he makes the same mistake, really. Kind of puts it 25, 30 feet out to the right side. Just a couple of sawed-off hyzer shots that are not nearly as close as these guys are looking for. So long putts for 3.
Maybe some nerves of the playoffs, the gallery. I mean, there had to be close to 50 people kind of following this card around at this point.
Just off the band for Kramlik. This is Kyle's putt for the win. If he can sink this one, he will be the Spring Thing 5 champion, only in one playoff hole. But a little bit of a tentative release. It looked like it dropped right out of his hand. I really do imagine that nerves are present here. Playoffs are always exciting, but very nerve-wracking for those involved in them. So I'm not 100% sure on either of these gentlemen's playoff experience, but I imagine, you know, not everybody has much. So still a very fresh and new situation to be in. So after playing a wide open hole 3, we come over to the tightly wooded hole 4. So really makes you buckle down and nail a gap. So we'll see what these two players can do.
Yeah, buddy.
Kyle dropped this one in the round, so looks to be the same plan. Just put it right next to the pin and give yourself an easy putt, which he does nicely.
It seems like he's got this hole pretty dialed. Throws a pretty much carbon copy of the round, maybe not nearly as parked, but it's a really quality shot nonetheless.
There you go. Come on, come on.
Kramlik throws a hyzer flip putter, flips up to flat, and a good tree at the end, a good fallen tree, I should say, to kind of keep it relatively close. He'll have about 15 to 20 on the bad side of the basket, as you can see the slight lean. Does not matter, gets it plenty high enough into the chains to convert for the birdie. Nice birdie from Ryan. Here's Kyle to answer from about 12. Makes it look easy. Good birdies from these guys, and we will go to a 3rd playoff hole. I love me some bonus golf. This is very exciting. Hole 2, 395 feet, left to right, round the trees on the right side, stay clean, hit the fat of the fairway, let it fade off to the right. Ryan overburns that flex forehand, throws it into the ground. Pretty sure it just died off into the grass right there, didn't cut roll into the woods or anything too detrimental, but he'll have a long approach to save his par.
Yeah, it definitely looked like it fortunately came to a stop because that was cutting. That could have rolled somewhere right.
Kyle throwing the turnover shot as he did round 1. A little tight, a little right, a little short, but he'll have a long putt. Ooh, Kramlik with a really nice approach there. I believe that's his A2.
That flop and roll right up to the pin. It's maybe 10 feet, not even.
Kyle about 75 feet. Gives it the sky bid, a little hyzer floater. Just falls in front of the chains. I know Kyle likes to throw those types of putts so that way they give it a chance, but if they so happen to miss, they sit very close for a stress-free tap-in.
Back to the start of the loop, hole 3, but the 4th hole of the playoff.
Back to the par 4, these guys are definitely looking to correct off of their mistake the first time through and get that 3. Kyle tries throwing this one a lot further than before, but just doesn't get it turned over, and it fades out left again, similar to his shot during the round.
It's going to be in the woods there.
I couldn't quite tell if it got around or not, but it did look like it got caught up. So hopefully his shot isn't too technical from there, but it does get hairy. So kind of an open door opportunity for Ryan as long as he can just stay clean, and he does. That's a good pull, good drift, but not necessarily burning over. He got good distance on that, and he's wide open, can throw whatever shot he wants.
Capitalized well on the moment, although that'd be his player the way off the tee, and he's just gonna put it up there.
That's the way the hole should be played. That was textbook right there.
Now Kyle's got a little bit of work to do. Clips early and drops just on the outside of the trees there.
Dang it.
And there were we're next to the
Back
playground.
by the playground.
And you'll hear, I think these were razzing everybody. Even if you weren't throwing discs, you were distracted at this point.
This is Kyle's last opportunity with Ryan seemingly parked.
We know he can
needs
hit
to
these.
make this.
You can kind of hear him admit to being a little bit razzed on that. But with that, Ryan's going to go ahead and tap in here.
Awesome birdie from Ryan. Great tournament from him. He averaged 1,006 on the event, well over his rating. Ryan's an amateur player looking to make a splash in the amateur majors this year.
Your 2023 MPO Spring Thing champion, Mr. Ryan Kramlik.
Congratulations. Good luck to you the rest of the season. Ryan's a great dude with a ton of skill, as is Kyle. Kyle's a phenomenal player as well. Congrats to you both on just a phenomenal tournament. Kramlik taking this down. This was just a phenomenal display of how to play these two courses. Obviously only you guys see in Anna Page South, but Anna Page West, very long course, wide open, so he really displayed a well-rounded game today.
Well done by everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Local Route. Please comment, like, subscribe if you like disc golf content. We'll have some more coming your way. Feedback's always helpful, good and bad. I'm receptive to that. So thanks for tuning in. Be on the lookout for the next one. We'll keep it coming for the local scene here.
Thanks for tuning in. Check out Birdbrain disc golf tournaments and leagues in your area, and maybe you'll find yourself on some coverage just like these gentlemen.